What's your totally original character that I did not copy? I swear to God, I really didn't. Leave yours in the comment below. An ASMR and a tiefling who are best frenemies. The ASMR owns a bookshop and the tiefling owns a very fancy carriage that somehow shapeshifts. They realize that both the gods and the demons are trying to end the world that they live in, which they happen to like. So they have teamed up to prevent the end of the world. A human variant feat telekinetic sword bard who never wears armor, just wizard robes, grew up on a farm in the desert that farms water. He only leaves to avenge his aunt and uncle after they are murdered by the big bad evil guy's forces. Well, I haven't played him yet, but a variant human crossbow expert, Kensai Monk, who fights with his hand crossbow and fist at close range. He used to be a part of a secret assassin guild, but retired. Some assholes killed his dog while stealing his fancy wagon too. And now he's murder hoboing his way through bad people. A human fighter who doesn't wear armor because armor is a part of a state of mind in which one admits the possibility of being hit. He has a giant two-handed sword with many names and invented the cheese sandwich. No one else at my table has read the book series I stole him from, so I'm good. My players solved a crime with the gray-haired guard, Miles Mitsurugi, and his big colleague, Gum Gum. It started as a jokey side quest, but Miles has been adopted as regular now. I don't think most of my players know. He's a mustachioed, fat, balding, drunken way of the drunken master monk with a magic crowbar for his monk weapon. Slightly nihilistic and hot-headed, his dialogue was vaguely New Jersey when he was traveling with a bunch of friggin' animals. He tended to wear old, dirty, but comfortable clothes. He had a goal to find his old mentor, beat his ass, and retrieve his kick-ass belt. A vampiric elf whose master was trying to become a truly immortal daywalker. I was even going to put him in a Pathfinder campaign. And then Baldur's Gate 3 came out. I had an elderly sorcerer called Sabin the Pale because of his massive charisma. He was basically able to persuade or threaten his way into or out of almost anything. He carried a long black staff topped with a clear jewel, and despite being lawful evil, he came across as good to almost everyone he dealt with. He wore white robes and had long white hair and a beard. He spoke in a very rich and distinctive voice. So, my character is a sickly warlock whose patron is a demonic prince of chaos. My character is from a noble family and is pretty arrogant, looking down on everyone else. His family has been bound to this demon prince for a while. He can't do much on his own, so he relies on his patron's powers a lot. He finds a sword that he pact binds to, and that lets him do stuff without relying on his patron, whom he doesn't like, but the sword demands that he kill every time he draws it. It will make him kill innocents if it isn't satisfied too. Most of his stats are flavored as coming from the sword from the moment he finds it. Sometimes he doesn't want to use it, but he's forced to in the end. Anyway, that's totally original, I'm sure. Oh, and by the way, his best friend is a bard. Honorable mention to my party member, the variant human arcane trickster Rogue. He uses specific gestures taught to him by his mentor to cast things like lightning, lure, and gust, and as mentioned in passing, having dealings with some kind of fox deity. This was after we encountered Gorthok in our campaign, who's relevant to my character. In his and our DM's defense, we only originally expected him to be able to play for one session. I do love the way he's developing now, though. A Damphir Hexblade Warlock. He was a bit of a loner growing up, but he was talented with both blade and magic. He didn't have much of a patron, but his power came from his father. His weapon was a longsword, though it had a thin blade that almost looked like a rapier. Combining powers with the shadow-touched feet, he was able to disappear and blend into normal society if needed. However, he rarely did, as he wasn't much of a people person. I had a backup character ready for a campaign, just in case, for like a year. An ASMR paladin, pale with a gold and blue color scheme, cracks in her face, very intense and excitable. And what game comes out like 3 months before I actually use this character? Baldur's Gate 3. Predictably, I got really into Dame Aelin. Absolutely nobody believed me when I said it was convergent thinking. An inquisitive rogue. She's a duchess and spy, a position she earned because of her mother. She proclaims herself the world's greatest spy. She enjoys the finer things, is always dressed to kill, and is almost always drinking. My party member made a human artificer that specializes in making armor, specifically wearable automaton war armor. His name is Anthony York, and he's a rich asshole. I called him Tony once, and he said, "Tony is a stupid-sounding name that poor people have." I was at a loss for words. I play a bard Echo Knight skeleton who was the first mate on a pirate ship when he was alive. His crew, including himself, were attacked and killed in a mysterious fog. His soul was sent back to his body because of a curse, but it got lost in the fog. When they were finally reunited, the body had become a skeleton. I have a dragonborn who is credited with the creation of firearms in his respective world. His whole vibe revolves around gunslinger glory by the dead south. He was corrupted by a spirit at a very young age and sought revenge for the murder of his mother. The local church killed his mom by burning the house down. They were after him, but he escaped. Anyway, after getting his revenge, he was far too gone to be saved. He conquered a few kingdoms, committed mass genocide a few times, and earned his place as the big bad evil guy for my homebrew campaign. I made him before I knew what Critical Role was. They were in Campaign 2 at the time, if I remember correctly, and I had no idea who Percy was. I had no idea I made a Percy, but he never quit killing type of character. A half-elf grave cleric who lost his practice during a very messy divorce and is now forced to join the church to practice medicine. He hates traveling and is only doing it to earn money and hide it from said ex. Yes, I am a Star Trek nerd. We all love you, Bones. I'm the DM, but one of my characters I'm playing against them is a mad god with an obsession over cheese, who is currently poorly disguising himself as a cat. He gets very annoyed when the playthings don't play fair, but sometimes lets himself get tricked if he thinks the outcome will be fun. The upcoming big bad evil guy being built up right now is a dragon-like creature, the former aspect of Earth who is in the process of being corrupted by an old god. Soon he will take on a new moniker and burn all under the fury of his wing. None of my players are gamers, so I'm pretty safe just stealing wholesale for entire characters. I have yet to do such a character personally, but one of the guys in our main campaign has a Hexblade Warlock. He's kind of an edgy type, lamenting the darkness that threatens to consume and take him over. It's played a lot more comedically and anticlimactically in our group than I'm probably explaining, which drives it further from its original inspiration. For a hint, by the way, my Goblin Zealot Barbarian, which I made completely independently from his character, wound up becoming his buddy. So he now has a small-sized bestie who wields radiant powers. A reborn Hexblade Stone Sorcerer, not immortal, but merely insanely old, at this point a walking, mummified skeleton in furs and armor. He's seeking vengeance on the race that held his tribe as slaves for centuries, and along with others like him, he seeks to end that race forever, killing every last one of them. I 100% stole my character from a friend who had the idea but never got to play him. A Kenku Tengu bard who, because he's a Corvid, is excellent at mimicry and can only speak in words or phrases he has heard other people say, in other people's voices, of course. So, whenever he speaks, I use a soundboard I made of various words and phrases from TV, movies, and the like. He's a bard because he can perfectly mimic any song he's heard before solely from his voice. He's the world's first jukebox. Sorry, Nico, I stole your guy. A pirate who is one part eccentric weirdo, definitely on the spectrum, one part chaotic genius. Later on, he became a vampire to become effectively immortal in order to rule a pirate empire of his own machination. Poe, a reborn swarm ranger who has a murder of crows at his swarm. He is out on a revenge mission to kill the group of people who murdered him and his girlfriend years ago. He suddenly and unexpectedly reanimated and gained powers, seemingly from the crows, who gave him his life and strength. Rat Chef, Rat Chef, Rat Chef, Rat Chef, Rat Chef. Our DM had us homebrew classes, so I made a quinoa-based chef-type class called the Gastronomancer. Gotta eat to gain power. Basically, if you're a starving child, you might be chosen by the cookbook of a previous Gastronomancer to continue the craft. Inspirations are Food Network, Ratatouille, and communism! He insisted that the only fair price to sell food at was material cost, and that his pop-up tavern, home, is literally wherever he has enough space to set up camp and offer lodging. His profession and crafting skills were so high that he was statistically likely to be the best chef in his whole country, since NPCs wouldn't really level up the same way. True neutral to chaotic neutral. Rat folk reach adulthood in their early teens, so I thought it'd be funny to play a legally an adult child who has no idea about business or economics. A Warforged Gloomstalker Ranger, built as an assassin who would slowly go insane if he didn't kill enough. He loves nothing more than finding the most efficient way to brutally slaughter his way to taking out his target. He spends his free time figuring out how to defeat opponents with massive advantages, such as magic. Definitely not HK-47, at all. No, absolutely not. No, you can't prove it otherwise. I had a Triton Fighter Sorcerer multiclass who would use his magic to create shields and weapons out of water, a homebrewed variant of Shadowblade. He had a buzz cut and wore a sleeveless vest with tattoos spiraling around his arms that would glow when he used his magic. He was a very calm, collected, natural leader type. He left his sorcerer school early and was trained to be an adventurer after he stepped up and helped his king defend their city-state during an attack. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and of course, if you want to keep the lights on and the gears turning over here at MrRipper, you don't have to, but we would appreciate you, yes you, joining our membership. What do you get? Early access to videos for those people that want it, and of course, maybe some other perks too, like, I don't know, outtakes? We have a couple ideas in the wheelhouse going. We love you, though. We want you to be happy and to have the best content possible. So, no matter what, you're going to get every single thing we have to offer. We love you. Be safe. Be happy. See you next time. Bye for now.